Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be another Canadian Soldier Reacts video, and today we're looking at Australia versus New Zealand military power comparison. Now, I'm going to keep the sound off on this video because it's a bunch of music. There's no actual talking on this one. So you're going to have to listen to my stunning voice for this. I'm not sure when this video was originally made, but it's saying that Australia was a global rank of 19 and New Zealand was a global rank of 84 when this happened. According to 2024 military strength rankings from globalfirepower.com, New Zealand is currently 67th, not 84th. Australia is currently, I believe, 16th. Yep. And just for comparison, Canada, which is my country, is currently 27th. And of course, the United States is number one by a very wide margin, Russia being second, China being third. So just to give you an overall look of the rankings. So let's see what else that they have to say. Obviously, all right, so capital of Australia is Canberra. I did not know that. I did know that the capital of New Zealand was Wellington, though. And capital of Canada, obviously, being Ottawa, which I actually lived in for, I don't know, about 15 years or so. And I was stationed actually in Petawawa, Ontario, which is just an hour and a half outside of Ottawa. I was stationed there for 6 years. I hope they're going to get into more. Yeah, okay, prime ministers, sure. All three of these countries are Commonwealth countries, so obviously they're all going to have prime ministers. Australia has 7 million kilometers. I think Canada, yeah. Is that 7 million? Yeah. Canada apparently 9.9 million, so just under a billion square kilometers. So you can see why the difference in military strengths between these two, because I mean, honestly, New Zealand is I'm probably not much bigger than some of the smaller provinces in Canada. I don't believe Canada has any nuclear weapons either. I could be wrong about that. I'm not sure. Canada is a population of, I believe, 39 million. So yeah, with 5 million, New Zealand would be significantly lower. I did something on the GDP. I think I'm guessing, trying to remember here, but I think we're like double what Australia is. Okay, so armed forces. Yeah, okay, sure. Um, I think we all have Army. Oh, interesting. So we all have Army, Navy, Air Force, I believe, and I think Australia might also have some Marines. I'm not sure. So this is interesting. Um, Australia actually has more. Well, it says total military, not total army, so that's important. Um, Total military in uniform in Canada. I mean, the number varies a fair bit, but it's generally around 68,000. So significantly bigger than New Zealand, but Australia is bigger than us, despite being smaller in land mass, smaller in population, smaller in GDP, and I believe smaller in military budget, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't know what the difference between active personnel and total military is, unless they're including reserves. And that's a really good question. I don't know if the 68,000 in Canada actually includes reserves. I'm going to have to figure that out. Looking at the weapons, I'm not sure what that is. That almost, it's not a Steyr. Well, it might be a variant of a Steyr. I'm not sure. This looks, this looks like it might be a variant of a C7 or a C8, maybe. Okay, yeah. I'm not sure what the breakdown is of active versus reserve. Um, Combat tanks. So I'm talking to an old buddy of mine who's a tanker. I'm hoping to get him on at some point. I know Canada uses the Leopard 2A2 tanks as our main battle tank, but we also use variants of the LAV, which is the eight-wheel Piranha chassis. Uh, Oftentimes it'll be an armored infantry fighting vehicle or even an armored personnel carrier if it's using like a 25 or a 30 millimeter cannon. But there are variants that the tankers use which have a larger main armament. But our main battle tank is the Leopard 2A2, and I'm not sure how many we've got. Armored fighting vehicles or armored infantry fighting vehicles. So these all these all look to be the Striker vehicles. And as far as I know, Canada doesn't have any of this. Canada's tracked vehicle, at least when I was in, was the M113A2, um, which, to be honest, I mean, if you take off the extra armor, see, all of this here that you're seeing here and here, this would be applique armor. In fact, if you look back here, you can see that this one has a very different front than this one. That's because you've got extra armor applied here. So if you take all of that off, the bones of this look remarkably similar to an M11. Oh, maybe not. No, no. There's no. Never mind. Check that. So I don't know if the M113s are still in service in Canada or not. I think they've gone primarily to the LAV chassis, Piranha chassis vehicle. There you go. That it looks much more like this. But wow, that's a nice size comparison. Holy crap. Ours are much closer to this size. I don't even know what this is. That's a nice looking vehicle, whatever it is. And this, I'm getting the feeling that that's actually pretty small. I don't know what that is. That's kind of cool looking, actually. MRAPs. I don't know that Canada has anything like this. So we definitely, I'm pretty sure we've got um, self-propelled artillery, but I think primarily we use the towed howitzers 105s, or at least again, this is back when I was in 1987 and 1998. We would use the 105 millimeter howitzer. I love this picture. Look at this. You can see the shells going off. That's freaking beautiful, man. Wow. I I think I remember hearing that we had the self-propelleds, but I'm not sure how many we would have. Okay, well, that's not self-propelled artillery, so I don't know what the difference between this one and the last one is. I'd have to have somebody from the artillery in Canada check me. There are at least two regiments of artillery, active service artillery, in Canada. There's the Royal Canadian Artillery, and then there's the Royal Canadian Horse Artillery, RCA and RCHA. But I'm pretty sure we've got more than 54 guns. MLRS, I don't know that Canada has any. Again, or at the very least, they didn't have any that I knew of when I was in. But again, this would have been more in the artillery's realm than in mine. So I don't think we have any of those. And I haven't heard of them being used in Canada, so I don't even know as if they have any now. Air Force this is another place where, um, oh, they're talking about, okay. This is another place where Canada, I mean, Canada's just small. Like, seriously. I don't know what they mean by total aircraft. Like, aircraft could mean just about anything, right? Um, as far as total aircraft, I'm sure Canada has hundreds and hundreds. But are they, current generation jet fighters? Are they, you know, prop engine trainers, or are they multiple variations of rotary wing aircraft? You could have any of that. My understanding is, well, again, when I was in they've got to have better than this by now, but they had the CF-18 as far as a jet fighter. And my understanding was we had them in the double digits. I'm not even sure we had them in the triple digits. Okay, so they're making the distinction of combat. Yeah. So I believe, yeah, I don't know what they mean, the difference they mean between combat and attack aircraft. Yeah, the definition of all of these things are important, I guess. Okay, so as far as AWACS types, we don't have anything. The I think, and again, when I was in, the largest aircraft we have is a C-130 Hercules. Nothing bigger than that. And they're used primarily for cargo or for airborne operations. Um, there are a few civilian style. I want to say Boeing 737s, or at least that's what they had when I was in. Again, we called them Scare Air because you were certain that they were going to fall out of the sky, but absolutely nothing that I know of with this kind of a capability. Reconnaissance aircraft, same thing. Nothing even approaching what you're seeing there. Uh, Trainer aircraft, we got a lot more trainer aircraft or demonstration aircraft. Canada actually has some really good pilots and some really good demonstration teams. The Snowbirds are the Canada's demonstration team, and the airborne actually had a jump demonstration team too. I think they were called the Skyhawks or something like that. I actually had a friend who did two tours on the jump demonstration team. Yeah, transport aircraft C-130 would be what we'd have. I'm not sure how many we had. I don't think we have any tankers. So helicopters, when I was in, it was the Sea King, the Chinook. Those were our big heavy lift transport helicopters. The big workhorse would have been the twin engine Huey, and then the smaller reconnaissance or command type aircraft, or possibly even fast attack. Fast attack helicopter would have been the Kiowa at the time. Now, I've been led to believe that most, if not all of them, have been replaced. but I'm not familiar with what they've been replaced with. I would be gobsmacked if you told me that Canada had Apaches or Cobras or even Pumas or there was another British one that was really good that we used to fly in when we were working with the Brits. Yeah, Canada. As far as I know, Canada has nothing approaching an attack helicopter. I know of no UAVs, at least of the type that you're looking at here. They might have smaller ones. Airports. Canada has. I don't know how many airports Canada has. Um, so we talked about the Navy with Chief Art on the last video. And from what he was telling me, Canada's naval strength is severely depleted at the moment. Um, there are programs in place to replenish that, and they're working on it right now. But apparently, a number of ships have been retired and not yet replaced. So that's scary. Uh, oh my God, we were founded like in the 1870s, 1880s, something like that, or maybe even earlier. Canada has no aircraft carriers. We established that with Chief Petty Officer last week. No destroyers, primarily frigates, if I remember him what he said correctly. Frigates and smaller, to be honest. This surprises me a little bit. Oh, wow. Actually, that kind of surprises me the other way. But the lack of naval strength for both of these countries actually surprises me a little bit since they're both islands. This surprises me in a good way. Wow, I did not expect them. After seeing the number of ships that they had, I did not expect them to have six submarines. That's very cool. Canada, if I remember what Art said correctly, I think Canada has four submarines right now. Four or five, I think he said. I can't remember. You can go back and watch the other video. Whoa, those are some cool looking patrol vessels. Oof. So, Canada, as far as I know, does not have a merchant marine corps, at least not one that's militarized of any kind. Um, we have a Coast Guard, but again, they're a totally civilian organization also. Canada is interesting for ports and terminals because for being so large, Canada has really only has two coasts, and well, I mean, technically it has one coast that kind of goes all the way around, but the northern coast is protected by the weather, I guess, since it goes almost all the way to the North Pole. But as far as navigable seaports, you've got the West Coast, which is primarily British. Well, it's only British Columbia. It's to be primarily Victoria and Vancouver, I think. There might be some smaller ports higher, but I don't think so. And then on the East Coast, it would be St. John, Halifax. That'd probably be it. And then some shipping would go up the St. Lawrence River into Quebec or maybe even Montreal because the St. Lawrence River is quite navigable. I don't really know what the labor force of Canada is, but like I said, we're 39 million to Australia's 25, so I would expect the labor force would have a similar kind of ratio. So you're probably looking at somewhere around 18 million ish in the labor force. Yeah, I don't know how to calculate the roadway coverage, but Canada's got good roads, good rails too. Yeah, well, so they're both islands, so of course. Obviously, Canada has, well, again, this depends on how you look at it, but technically we have one shared border, and that's with the United States. And up until recently, we weren't really worried about people sneaking in from the United States. Um, Depending on how you decide that northern border there and how willing Russia is to try to enforce some of their thoughts on the subject, there may or may not be some issues up there. But again, the weather really covers us quite well up there. No one really wants to try across that way. Yeah, waterways in Canada are extensive. Coastline is also extensive. So, if I stick to the military comparison specifically, um, so New Zealand, which is really what, one quarter the size of Canada, 8,000 troops. So Canada has a higher percentage of military than New Zealand, but when you compare us to Australia, Australia is smaller in a pretty much every way to Canada except their military, which appears to be larger and possibly stronger. But then again, I mean, if you look at, yeah, no, actually, no, they're definitely stronger because when you look at the rankings, Australia ranks 16th. So and Canada is down at 27. So Australia obviously cares more about their military than Canada does. So that was it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you coming out. If you liked the video, please leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. And if you've got any suggestions for the type of content you want to see, please leave it in a comment down below because I'm always looking to make sure that I'm doing the kind of content that you guys want to see. So thanks a lot, and I will see you on the next one, guys. Bye.